The combine's going down now, so that means NFL free agency is right around the corner. Giants GM Joe Schoen has his hands full trying to decide which free agents to re-sign or to let go. So let's bring in our New York Post Giants beat writer, Paul Schwartz, to give his thoughts on some Giants free agents. Do they stay? Do they go? And I got that face because it's like it's that time, Paul. Like, it's the time everyone's waiting for. And we heard Joe Schoen in his comments that he made Tuesday about Daniel Jones. So what do you think is the most likely scenario for Daniel Jones and his future with the Giants?
Well, Brandon, he is coming back. See, that's the thing with Daniel Jones. It differentiates him with other free agents. He is coming back. Joe Schoen said he has no doubt Daniel will be the quarterback next year. Now, does he come back on the one-year franchise tag, or does he come back with a multi-year contract, which is what the Giants certainly prefer and what Daniel Jones prefers, as long as it's the right numbers in the multi-year contract? Look, Joe Schoen made it perfectly clear. If we have to tag Daniel Jones, that costs $32 million on the cap, right? Then we will not be able to do the things we want to do in free agency. After they release Kenny Golladay officially, that happens March 15th. The Giants will be about $50 million under the cap. $50 million. If they have to devote $32 million of it on Daniel Jones, do the math, right? Leaves him with about $18 million. That's not a lot of money to deal with free agency. That affects all the other players. So they are trying to impress on Daniel Jones. Look, we want to pay you what you're worth. We think we know what you're worth. But if you take all the money with a salary cap franchise tag, then it's going to be a problem. I think something eventually does get done. May 7th is the date they have to tag him. There's a little bit of time left for that. I think the two sides will realize that they're better together on a multi-year deal, maybe in the $37, $38 million a year range, and something gets done. That's what I think.
All right, this could affect, like you said, how they're able to sign other players. One player in general, Saquon Barkley. How does this Daniel Jones situation affect what happens with Saquon?
It affects it greatly, no question. Look, if the Giants can only tag one player, that's the NFL rules. So if they have to tag Daniel Jones, that option is gone for Saquon Barkley. Now, the Giants don't want to tag Saquon Barkley. The franchise tag for Saquon will be $10 million. Now, Saquon doesn't want that because that gives him $10 million in guaranteed money. He's a running back. No guarantees what happens after that. He gets hurt. Things happen. It's a problem. He has no security, really. The Giants also, if they can sign Saquon Barkley to a 3-year deal, maybe $12, $13 million a year. The offer at the bye week was $12.5. Let's say they go up to 13. They can reduce the salary cap on a multi-year deal for Saquon Barkley for 2023 for $6 or $7, maybe $5 million. So that's half of what the franchise tag number would be. You know, they want them both back on multi-year deals that help them, the Giants. Saquon gets trickier, especially if Daniel is tagged. Then it becomes kind of dicey.
The front office wants them back, and you can look on Twitter. The Giants Nation, Giants fans want both of them back. So what do you think the Giants are going to do with some of the other free agents, like a Julian Love? Could you see the Giants extending him?
They want to. You know, Joe Schoen said we love Julian, but look, there's a lot of guys they want to extend. Joe Schoen said, look, we've had talks with Nick Gates to play center or guard. Somebody asked him about John Feliciano after 1 year with the Giants. He said, look, you can't let too much leadership walk out the door, walk out of the locker room. So there's a desire to bring him back. You can't bring everybody back. They want to bring Julian Love back. But, Brandon, as you know, nothing happens in a vacuum. So they have to look at this year's cap and who's going to be up next year and what their cap could be like next year. And don't forget, Xavier McKinney is coming down the pike as a safety. They're going to want to re-sign probably after this year. So you can't have two of the highest paid safeties. So if Julian Love is going to accept a contract that pays him like a really good number 2 safety, I think they can get something done. If Julian Love and his representatives want number 1 top tier safety money, I don't think the Giants will do it because they want to keep that for Xavier McKinney probably next year. So they'd like a lot of these guys back, but they're not. It won't all be back. I think Julian Love could. If he wants big top money, he won't be here.
It's crazy because Brian Daboll did his thing during the football season. Now it's Joe Schoen's season. The offseason belongs to Joe Schoen. And based off his comments that he had yesterday and what you've seen so far at the Combine, how do you think the Giants are going to attack the draft? And what are the biggest holes you think they need to address?
We got to do a whole bunch of segments on that. Joe Schoen admitted it. We have strong needs on both sides of the ball. I can sit here and make a case they have to draft a cornerback with the number 1 pick. Absolutely can make that case. I can make a case they have to draft a wide receiver with their first pick in the draft. I can make a case they have to draft an inside linebacker with the first pick in the draft, with their first pick in the draft. And I can make a case they have to take a defensive interior lineman. Joe Schoen was asked, what do you think your depth on the defensive line? And he said, not great. So there's a lot of needs, a lot of holes. One thing Joe Schoen said when asked, if you have to franchise Daniel, do you have to think about maybe drafting a quarterback, in the upper regions of the draft? He said, no. He said, that will not affect us. We want Daniel to be our quarterback. That's why we're extending him a multi-year offer that we hope he signs.
Joe Schoen, you are on the clock. Paul Schwartz, thanks for joining us.
All right, thanks.